Here in Aleph, the big talk over here, where he goes through basically what was the Nesach Hanukkah. A lot of it's like a piece of Gemara. There's a Gemara in Shabbos, my Hanukkah, and the Gemara tells the story with the Yavonim, and they were Metamak all Shvanim, and they found one flask of oil. So that's basically what this was, like a Dhamma. So I said that he brings up his Lashon Gemara. He said that when they came into the Heichel, they saw that all the Shvanim, they were Matama all the Shvanim, and Nimsa al Pach Echad, the Shemen, Shahaya Munach b'Chaysamah Shakayin Gadol. So I think Taisa says the Kasha in Shabbos, even if it was Munach b'Chaysamah Shakayin Gadol, how do you know they didn't touch it or move it? I think Taisa talks about Hesed. Hesed means where you cause something to move. So it also becomes stomach. So how do you know that they... As I said, I once saw a teretz. The Russian Munach b'Chaysamah Shakayin Gadol is a strange Russian. It should have said that it was Chosam b'Chaysamah Shakayin. It had the seal on it. What does it mean it was laying with the Chaysamah Shakayin Gadol? So I said that someone once said a pshat that Munach b'Chaysamah, it was laying with the Chaysamah Shakayin Gadol. In other words, the Chaysamah was a ring. And that's how they used to, like an insignia ring. So it was the Kohen Gadol's ring that happened to be laying over there.
So how did that take away the problem?
Oh, because if the Goyim were there, they would have taken it for the ring. And probably they didn't take the ring, and the ring was laying there and it wasn't moved. It was a similar that they didn't come around over there to where that was laying.
If they would have seen it,
they would have seen it. I don't remember. The text is over there. I think maybe that's what it says. Yeah. But according to this status, that it was laying with the ring, and they didn't take the ring was some gold ring. They didn't take it. It's something like it fits with the Russian. Other ones that are saying Chosam b'Chaysamah Shakayin had the seal on it, not the ring. Okay. Hanukkah, Mutter Basiyas Melacha. We're looking at Gim. It says Hanukkah is Mutter Basiyas Melacha. Ach Hanoshim Noyegais, Shvoi Lasas Melacha, Kol Zman Sha'anedes B'Bayis Doken. The women have a minute that they don't work. Now, what does it mean the women don't work? Doesn't mean they don't do anything. They sit the men state. When you light the candles, you should see the candles. So people sit by the candles. Others with a sefer, others without a sefer, and they're watching the candles. But over here, it means that they don't do women's work. In other words, if they have to, let's say, write a letter, they can write it. But the cooking and the sewing, that work they don't usually do during this time. Ve'ein l'hokol lahem, because it became like a minig, so it's a question of a nether. So that therefore ve'ein l'hokol lahem. V'ama'at shan v'atam she'anoshim machmides yesa. Why is it the women the ones that are machmir? Nei shagazayda haisa kosher abnei yisrael. There was a difficult part of the Gezeidah, specifically on the women. Shegozu, there were Geyser, Besula, Nisas, Tibor, Vehegmet Chila. That before she gets to be with her husband, so she has to have a relation with the Hegman, is like the general, the V'oid, that's one reason. V'oid, another reason, Nesha Nes Nasa, Ayidei Isha, the Nes of Hanukkah, in other words, the Nitzachon of the Muhammad, was thanks to the work of a woman. Who was this woman? Basher and Kohen Gadol. Basher and Kohen Gadol. Hoysa Yefei Ifastayam Oid. She was a very beautiful woman. Biksha Hamelech Hatzayra Shetishka Vimai. So the king wanted her dafka. And she told him, Shetamala Bakashasa. The Chilasa Machole Tafshile Gavina. She made him some milchige food out of cheese. Now, cheese has a lot of salt in it. Even today, when you buy dairy, you'll take a look, you'll notice it has a lot of sodium in it. A high count of those people that are careful with sodium don't eat hard cheese because it's even the soft cheese has a lot of sodium in it. Sodium is a salt. So when you eat a lot of salt, or you drink a lot of salt, so you get thirsty. So she gave him the cheese, in order that he should get thirsty, because of the salt in it. V'yishta yayin, and he'll drink wine. V'yishtaka. I mean, he could have drank water also, but the hakanig, I mean, you can't give a can of water, you know, so you have to give him a good wine. V'yishan, and he'll fall asleep. V'yerodam. Yerodam means a deeper sleep. V'chein hoy, this was her plan. And v'chotcha es roshai, so she chopped off his head. V'aviyosei l'Yerushalayim, and she brought it to Yerushalayim to show the people. Ukerais South Savam, when the general, this was the king, and when the general saw Ki Obad Malcolm, that the king died, Vayanusa, they ran away. Without the king, they need the king to go to war. And therefore, some people have a minute to eat machol echolov. B'Chanukah, zeichel nesh nasa ayidei cholov. And b'meila, so being that, and this was all done by this woman. So b'meila, the woman, they don't light the candles. So what they do is they avoid doing work that they're not to be involved with other things. Kol hashmanim kishenim v'nei Chanukah. All oil, it doesn't have to be dafka. People use Shem Mezayis or pure olive oil. It doesn't be dafka Shem Mezayis. But when we call makom mitzvah muchla likach Shem Zayis, dumit denesh b'mikdash shehay b'Shem Mezayis. In the base of Mikdash they had Shem Mezayis, and the oil that the nest took place for was the Pach Echad Shel Shemen, was Shem Zayis. So maybe it all happened with olive oil. The im eina matzu, if olive oil is not available, yivra shah shemen she'ayre zach v'naki. You should pick not every oil produces a nice candle, a nice light. So you should get oil that'll be good for it. By native shashaiva, or candles of wax, shagam kain oidem zach, that their light that they produce is also nice. By the when they daven for the Yom, they also take shaiva candles. Because the Rebbe writes that shaivas or shetevas are kitzu v'ranu shech ne'ofa.
It's also shin ayin nehiring.
Huh?
Okay. Shin ayin.
Hakitzu v'rananu sheichve or shech ne'ofa.
It's also 370. Shin ayin nehiring. And the vav and k.
Oh, okay. V'loi yasa mishayva shabbat avodah zarah. Shouldn't use wax that came from a church. Mishum demors. It's abominable. V'chein kol ha'psilas k'shedes Ner Hanukkah. All psilas that are made from any material that makes into a wick is kosher. U'mitzvah min hamuvra likach tzemer gefen. Tzemer gefen is what we call cotton. And I always mention that people make a mistake. There's cotton, there's in the stores they sell, the women buy it for the makeup. They buy a whole bag of cotton balls and it costs $1 or $2, whatever it is. That's not cotton. No. That's a synthetic material. It looks like cotton. But if you put a match to it, it will begin to spark. Sparks will come from it because it's not cotton. Cotton means what they sell in the drugstore. If you have to, Mamo put on a wound, some cotton is a small box that maybe costs $5 or more. That's cotton. And
it comes like
In that blue plastic.
it comes like a roll wrapped in a paper, rolled up. It's very white. That is real cotton. That's a baguette. That's why gauze is also not cotton. Gauze pads. Gauze pads is a synthetic material. It's not cotton. That's why by women, if they use a pad and they have a marker on it, so it's not a shayla because the pad is not cotton. It's not a baguette. The garment is real cotton, and that is not cotton, so it's not a shayla. The ein tzorach b'chol layla psilas chadoshes. You don't need every night new psilas, new wicks. Ella madlik es harishayna ad sheyicha. Every night when you're lighting a candle, so the top becomes charcoal. So it becomes smaller and smaller. He said you could use the first one that you used, you could use it till it doesn't have enough to go into the candle and to go down into the oil. So there's a shayla, the Rebbe writes about this, there's a shayla, if the mashal, the first night, you have to use a new one, right? Not unless you have left over from last Hanukkah, which most probably people don't have. The second night, you have to write two. Does the second one, the new one, have to be a new wick, or could you use the old wick for the second night and then make a new one for the first night? So there's two svaras. One svara is that you should. The emes is that even if you're lighting, let's say, 2 candles, 2 or 4 of it, the halacha is by Hanukkah there's different levels. There's one level of Ner Yishu Beisai, which means that if the 8 nights you light 1 candle for 8 nights, the same candle every night, so you yotze the mitzvah. That's the basic mitzvah of Ner Hanukkah. Then there's Mahadrim, and Mahadrim min Mahadrim. Mahadrim means that there's different opinions, but one opinion is that not 1 candle for the whole 8 days, but every day each person in the family should light a candle. How many? 1. So again, 1 is the number. You don't need more than 1. And then there's a mahadrim min mahadrim. That already is a machagis b'sham and b'sil. What it means mahadrim min mahadrim. Mahadrim min mahadrim, they hold that the number of candles changes according to the day of Hanukkah. But the question is, do you go up or do you go down? Do you go 1 and end with 8, or do you go down and you start with 8 and end with 1? So that's the Machal B'Sham B'Sil. So we bow that one candle is really the number. So the question is, the new one that you're lighting, if it's, let's say, the fourth night and you're lighting 4, so the new one's really the mitzvah. The rest is already a part of Mahadrim. So should the new one have the, now what's the difference, the new one and an old one? The old one has a milah that it was done already, he did a mitzvah already. So, like there's an expression that Vibaldi that did a mitzvah, do another mitzvah with it. That's one expression. The new one has a milah that's new. It's not old. It's nicer maybe. And some say the old one it has a milah that it maybe burns better because it has already a piece of chalk on top of it. So Veta Shaira, when you're adding psila, where should be the new one and where should be the old one? So that the Rebbe talks about that by Hanukkah, and the minig is that at least this is what I remember, that for the new one we take an old one, and for the new candle we take an old psiga, and then the new psiga will be one of the additional that we added during the night.
Because it's a better candle, because it's a
No,
mitzvah?
because you did a mitzvah already, so it has a certain cheshivas to it, a certain yichus to it. So that's why he says over here that you don't need a new candle each night, but you could use each candle actually. He says you could use each candle till each wick till it's consumed. Im madlik b'nei shocheres, if his menorah is cheres. Now, cheres has a few pshat of what cheres means. We think about cheres, something that's made like from clay. That's what we think about cheres.
China. China also?
Yeah, China. Well, not all China. The China is not made from, because they have bone china. In the fancy, when you buy a set of china, so bone china is choshever. Cheap china is made from cheres. Okay, you want to close it? Huh? Okay, because the people are going to come 5 after 5. The people start coming. So I'll take care of this one to close this one. He said the door was left open. It's not true. So China, really, there's cheap China. The cheap China is cheres, and
What is bone china made out of?
huh?
What is bone china?
I don't know, but and the what do you call it? In order that the cheres, if you eat in a keli of cheres, you'd have to throw it out. So bismanaza, everyone buys disposable, so it wouldn't mean anything about it. It would be more expensive than this one. That's why what they do is that it's glazed. The keli is glazed. It's like a sheet of glass on top of it. That's why there's when you go to buy dishes, let's say cheap dishes, so people table it, and the people that take care of the mikvah say yes, do you have a table? Ask your rabbi if it has to be getayvelt. Why do you have to ask your rabbi if it has to be getayvelt? A dish that you eat from, you have to tayvel. The answer is because Amol Gezeiten, when they made a klei cheres, they put glass on it. It was called glazid. In other words, there was a thick coating of glass, and glass has to be tayvelt. Cheres doesn't have to be tayvelt, and glass has to be tayvelt.
Why does cheres not have to be tayvelt? Because
Huh?
it doesn't help.
Cheres is itemware because it's not a choshev keli. Yeah. So, but the glass, negated tefillah has a din like metal. And just like metal, you have to table, you have to table. So the shayla is today. Bisman is like one shayla. I'm always saying there was like a thick, like a coating of glass that when you today it's so thin that when you break it, let's say, you're not going to feel the glass. You're not going to feel glass. So that's why it became a shayla. If you have to table a kli cheres.
Because it's so little glass that it's more clear.
The glass, but being that the coating is so thin, so maybe it's not considered glass. That's why he's now he's talking. If someone just like in the schools, we make in the kindergartens, people there we make menorahs for many different things. A mo we used to make from soda caps. A mo we used to take from walnut, the 2 walnuts. So you empty out the and you paste down the shell, So it's a mogavem for cheres. Cheres, when you begin to burn it, when it comes out to the bottom, so it begins to burn the cheres, and it smells up. So that's why he's talking over here about imadlik b'nei cheres.
Cheres does not mean clay?
Huh?
Does not mean clay.
But it's clay. When you begin to burn it, it gets spoiled. So he says, "Kiva shehidlik by laga echad nasa yoshan." It's already lost its value, so to say. So you can't use it again the second night. Mishum demors. V'alkein. Therefore, and people couldn't afford to go. People were poor, so he says, but you can't use cheres. Well, therefore, have some type of metal, because the metal will not become moist. Umi sheyode masegas yikdem menorah shel kesef v'hida mitzvah. He doesn't talk about a golden menorah, even though they said that the Rebbe had a matana, a golden Hanukkah menorah. But he doesn't talk about gold menorah because in the Beis Hamikdash the menorah was from gold. So you stay away from that. Okay.